Yes. Great. Thank you for giving John my 8 seconds also. Because I was just wondering, and we said we're going to keep people this afternoon, and it's a beautiful day out there, and we want to come in and share all of our secrets with you. My name is Lori Spiess. My company is Office Centers and Virtual Office Centers. We spelt it with a capital C in the middle. That was 34 years ago, though, John. I didn't realize that we were going to have problems with people being able to know how they were going to pronounce Office Centers. And so we were stuck with it way back then when we decided that that's what we were going to do, because we have people who say Office Centers and a lot of other different kinds of things. If I would have just had your speech back then, right? June 1st, we actually celebrated 34 years in the business. 34 years. That's a long time, isn't it? Yeah. That's got to get at least a clap, right, Hans? Sounds good. This is why I feel lucky, because during that 34 years, we have gotten to work with so many businesses, small businesses, especially over the course. And not hundreds of businesses have gone through our doors, but thousands and thousands of businesses over the course of our 34 years. Right now we have 5 locations in the Minneapolis area. We have workspace solutions, not just people taking permanent office with us, but co-working spaces, and we have about 1,200 members of our Office Centers and Virtual Office Centers community. We run a lot of different things. I'm going to talk to you first just about some statistics, because I always think numbers are fun, especially when you're starting out in business. This is the number of new businesses in Minnesota at the end. The Small Business Association promoted this in 2012, that there were 501 businesses at the end of 2012. They had 500 employers or less. That's what they constituted a small business. Of those, 387, over 387 have 0 employees. 1/3 of those businesses were female-owned businesses and about 9% minority businesses. This is the number of new businesses in Minnesota last year. Just last year in Minnesota, over 63,000 new businesses created. Just last month, 5,033. And a year to date in Minnesota, 26,709. The reason I share these numbers with you, what do you think the chances are that some of these businesses are doing the same thing that you're doing? I'd say that the chances are pretty strong that you've got some competitors out there. And not just in the small business community. What about what I call the EBACs? Do you know who the EBACs are? Those are the extremely big-ass corporations who are out there doing the same things that you are doing. There's a few of those who are your competitors as well. So what are we going to do as small business people when we're creating these new businesses that's going to make us stand out from the rest, sustain us, and let us compete in the marketplace that is not just Minneapolis, but some of us even in a global marketplace? I love the stuff that you were talking about with branding, because that is one of the ways we can really set ourselves apart from the rest. Right now we have over 70 new business applications in Minneapolis alone, 70 per week. And then we think, why Minneapolis? I think it was just last month that we were named one of the most educated cities in the country. We have low business taxes, a lot of colleges and universities. We're leaders in healthcare, great downtown, rich in arts and entertainment, and always rate high on the quality of life. So we're always going to have people who are coming into these markets because it's a strong business market. Here's some facts about small business in America today. There's 28 million small businesses in the United States. About 80 of those are operated by a single person, and 52% are home-based. How many of you are working from home? How many of you have less than 5 employees in your company? There's a lot of us micro businesses. We outnumber corporations by over 1,100 to 1. 7% of the, we have the private workforce, employ 50% of the, 57% of the people in private workforce and 56% of the payroll. So we have a lot of people, a lot of money tied up in our small businesses. We're creating 80% of new jobs, this is in the last 20 years, are all coming out of small businesses. And if we were a country, we would rank the 17th most populous in the world. That's from the fourth quarter edition of Forbes from 2013. From here forward, 98% of the businesses that are creating are going to be small office and home office based. And here's some hard facts. In the USA, every month, there's over 500,000 businesses created. But here's another fact that some people don't talk about. There are more than that in business closures. Out of the businesses that are created, 70% hit the 2-year mark. We usually come in pretty well capitalized, right? And they're 50% close within 5 years. So what do we do to make ourselves stand apart and not become a statistic? I'm going to just give you some reasons why businesses fail. And this is from the SBA also. People can't make decisions. I see this when people pass through my doors all the time. And we're going to talk about this because this is one of the things that I am always talking to small businesses about. You need to make a decision, one way or the other. If you can't, it's really one of the things that is a main reason for failure. Having bad relationships with your customers or suppliers. We all can talk about money, right? Where are the bank people? These are some reasons that are always in the failure. Underpricing the goods that we're selling. How do you come about with what you're going to charge? Going to your neighbor and saying, well, he charges $1, so I'll charge 99 cents. It's not going to work. You have to have some formulas to put together your pricing strategies, and they have to be right on, or you're going to be a casualty of business. Reluctance or inability to seek professional advice. Some of us just don't want help. I've seen small businesses who come in and they're going to do everything themselves, even things they aren't good at. This is something I want to talk to you about. A lot of businesses close because of illnesses of their key personnel. What would you do if tomorrow you were told you couldn't work for 6 months? Do any of you have a backup plan? This is especially especially dear to my heart, do I want to say, or near to my heart, because it was only a year ago that I had this little lump on my neck, and I thought, well, I think I probably have a swollen gland. When you go to the doctor and they tell you you have stage 4 head and neck cancer, and you have to leave the business immediately, what do you do? You know, I've been in business for 34 years. I have a team of 20 amazing women on my team. And I was able to take that journey and come back to the business in February with a clean bill of health. Thank you. But I have to say, this is the first time I've stood in front of a group and talked for more than about 8 or 10 seconds without my bottle of water and everything else, because everything is concentrated in the head, the neck, and the throat. So thank you for bearing with me today. But I only mention this because if it just makes one of you think about what you would do, because I'm telling you, I had no idea. No idea at all. And then what do you do, and how do you formulate that plan B? If you could think in advance, what would happen if? Well, that's not going to happen, right? Surprise, sometimes it does. And then you come back and things are better, really. I'm going to talk to you about some fatal mistakes that people make that I see, and hopefully these are some of the things that you can dodge the bullet on. But you need to preserve your capital. When you first start out, make sure that you're spending wisely. Make sure that you're spending on things that your clients are going to see. I've seen people who get a business loan, they move into some of our spaces, they take the most beautiful office in the corner, they move in that great big desk, and I just think to myself as they're coming through the door, I am going to own that piece of furniture in just a few short months. And I don't want it. And what you paid for now, it's now worth practically zero. So at the end when you tell me, just keep my desk, I don't want it. Preserve your capital. Think about what you want to do. The most successful people spend on where their clients are going to need it, not on what's going to make you the most comfortable and happy and the most beautiful painting and all the other kinds of things. Don't matter in a startup mode. Don't go cheap. You know, that's the other thing that I have to say. When you're buying your business cards and you first start out, you can't do it all on a shoestring. Have a budget. Have a budget, but there are things that you need to spend on. And most of it has to do with your image and your brand. And those are the things where I say, please, Make sure that when you're starting out, you don't say, there are things that you definitely don't need, but there are some things that you do. Make sure that you have a clear direction that you're going in. Remember that it's not all about you. I hear people when they're on the phones, and I can hear them, they're talking to their brand new client. Thursday would be great, except that's when my daughter's dance recital is, or you know what, your client doesn't need to hear this. I understand that we're in a Me Too society. We all want to make sure that we're entitled and we have all the things that we're supposed to have in life, but when your client should come first, then offer them, can you meet Monday afternoon or Tuesday afternoon? If you know Thursday isn't good with you, you don't need to always overshare with clients, and make sure that you feel like you're putting them first. You need to put a value on your time. You only have so much that you can give in a day. Why are you chasing your tail after things? I can remember I had a client who said to me, how much is a fax? $2 at the time. $2, that was a really good profit center for us back in the day, you know? $2 a page. She said, I'm going to get 2 pages. So I think instead I'll drive home, I'll go, and I was like, well, okay, if you think that you would rather drive home than give me $2, I don't really understand how that's going to save you money when you're wasting so much time. But sometimes you don't put a value on your own time. Make sure that you're taking a look at that. If you have problems, you need to ask for help. If there are things you're not good at, you need to ask for help and assistance. And where are you going to go to get that? Make sure that you're pricing your product correctly. Know what your bills are, know what you want to take home, and be firm about what you're going to say when your pricing lists come out, and how you're going to negotiate and all those types of things, because you don't want to be underselling. Here's the number one thing. I talk to people, I see people, they are racing everywhere, and I said, what did you bill last month? I'm so busy I couldn't get my bills out. You know what? I don't get that part. Because if you're so busy lawyering and even CPAs and all of the different kinds of things, doing what you do best, and you don't get your bills out, this is going to be a big red flag in your business. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure this out, and I see it time and time again happening with small businesses. Not only do they not get the bills out, then they forget they have to collect, because it's really not a sale till the cash comes in your account. If you're having problems with billing and collections, it might do you justice to have somebody help you with that if that's not what you're good at. But I'm going to tell you right now that as a small business person, you better be able to negotiate and say, I would like to have $100, $1,000 for this aspect, and this is what my payment terms are. Negotiate up front and ask for what it is you want. And it's hard on the end when they said, well, you said you wanted $1,000, but you didn't say you wanted it this month. I thought I'd pay you, 6 months from now. Make sure your terms are clear. Because big companies do that, other companies do that, and sometimes when people are coming to you with great big projects and they want it turned around quickly and you don't set those terms, you can get burnt. Got to keep up with technology. I'm not going to say much more than that, but you need to stay on top of it as a small business. We're going to talk about my inability to make decisions right now. I'm going to tell you right now, if you cannot make a decision as a small business person, then you need to go to work for somebody who can. I've seen it. Sometimes you see the people that you go to lunch with. What are you going to have for lunch? Well, I don't know. What are you having? And what I see it. I cannot stand someone who can't make a decision. Even if it's the wrong decision. One of the best advice someone told me was make your best guess. Because sometimes it's not black or white. And you're just going to need to take whatever it is in front of you, and you're going to need to jump one way or the other. But the best part about being in small business is that if you make a decision today, you can change it tomorrow. But the worst thing you can do is not make any decision at all. To sit on the fence doesn't help you at all. I went to a networking event. There were about 150 people there. It was a big networking event. There were a lot of great leads. I met a woman, and I said, I'd love to have your card. She had a very interesting story about her business. She said, I didn't have a business card because I went to the printer and I didn't know if I liked the blue one or the green one. If she's already having decisions to try the blue one or the green one, there's no wrong answer. Pick one. The bad answer was I came without a business card to a networking event with 150 people and couldn't decide on the blue or the green. Just saying. I said to people, here's what you need to do. Go to when it's time for lunch, the next time you go in, or dinner, or whatever else, pick up the menu, make a decision, you have 1 minute, and then live with your consequences. This is how you practice making great decisions. And the worst case scenario is you have to eat a bad sandwich. You know, it's not a bad thing. I tell my small business people, you need to love to fail. Forget fear of failure. Every day we fail. 34 years, and I think I have failure every single day. We love it. You need to love it. You know what? I asked them to buy. They said no. So what? Ask the next person, and it might take you 10. You need to love rejection and failure. But here's what I have to say about that. We want to fail often. We want to fail fast, and please make it be cheap. Okay, so what makes you look small? I'm not going to go over the things that John, because I think we kind of fit together on a lot of those kinds of things. Your business card and your website, these are the places where you need to make your money. You need to spend your money. Anything that you've set aside to say, where am I really going to build my image? It's there. Your web address. I look at businesses, small businesses, when they come in. If their web address is at Gmail, at Yahoo, or at Comcast, you know what that says to me? I don't plan on being in business long. The most successful people will brand and have an identity. You know, your brand might be your signature block. It might be on the bills it might be one color. You can start with something very, very simple. But the minute you will go into business, you hang your shingle and you pick your name, whether you like it or not, you've already decided on where your brand's going to go. So try to make it always look like it's coming from the same place. Your mailing address. Right now, most people will use their email addresses. But if you want to have a bricks and mortar type of an address, or if you're using your home address, please be sure that you know that there are issues with those types of things, including security. One of the networking groups that I went to, I saw a woman who had a business card. And whatever her address was, 123 Powder Puff Lane, I don't know what it was. She's handing it out to everybody at a 300-person networking event. She says the next day she goes home, and a guy calls on the phone and says, "Is that your house with the flag in front of it? Is this where your family lives? Do you know who you're handing your business cards to?" Just think about that for a minute. I'm also going to say that if you're looking for financing, and I think the bankers would agree with me here, if you have your home address on your business card, you are less likely to be financed, to be able to get financing, than if you had a bricks and mortar address. You might want to think about that as you're setting up your new businesses. Your cell, your voicemail, and what about your workspace or lack thereof? One of the biggest things I see with small business people is their own negative self-talk. I'm just a one-person operation. Well, does that excuse you from getting your work done on time? I can't do all my work and then get my bills out too. We only just started a couple of months ago. You can't compete if you're negative self-talking in front of your clients. They don't want to hear it. You better be able to sell your assets, your benefits, and all the other types of things, and leave this part of your excuses, your apologies, and your regrets, leave those at home. So what makes you strong? We talked about business relationships. Relationships that you have with others, people you can bounce ideas off of, partnerships, access to inspired teams of people who can help you get projects done, access to technology, networking and groups, community and connections. These are the things that are going to set you apart from the rest. The other thing I say is know what you do best. How many of you have you ever taken Strength Finders? You know what? It's a really great tool. Because some people say, I don't really know what I'm good at. If you're honest with yourself, you know what you're good at. I know when I take Strengths Finders, I'm not a great detail person. And here I am in the office service, the workspace service for services, business. But I make sure I surround myself with people who have detail orientation. So you can find out what you're best at, and then you want to do that more. If you're great at selling your business and bringing in sales, but you know you're not great at getting out the bills, have someone help you with the stuff you're not good at and go out and get more sales. The things that you're not good at are going to take you twice the amount of time, plus you hate doing it. So you're going to put it off and procrastinate, and that's going to just wreck your day anyway, right? So do what you're best at. Know what you're best at. And I really recommend this. $13 on Amazon, by the way. This was a slide that I used to work with that said, what are the business models of the future? But you know what? The future is here. This is the business model of today. You want total flexibility. You want short-term commitments, low overhead, no equipment or contracts, no staff and personnel costs. You want to buy what you want when you need it. Because today's business person, small business person, wants to be lean, agile, they want to connect, they want to collaborate, and you need a community that you can work within. Because that's where you're going to get all of your extra resources is through community connections. There's a lot of reasons why we chose home to work with. We love the commute, the dress code is casual, we can multitask there, and there's some real financial advantages. I know last summer, during my treatment, I spent 6 months working at home from my computer. I would get up in the morning and I didn't have to get, thank God, because nobody wanted to see me in the office at that time anyway. But I really knew the things that I missed were the energy of the office. And I used to always say to people, my favorite place in the world, I have a place in Arizona. I would say, that is my favorite happy place. I couldn't wait to get to Arizona. After spending 6 months at home, I figured out that Virtual Office Centers was my happy place. I couldn't wait to get back to the office. So, you know, those people who say they have this life-altering experience and then they want to spend more time, you know, being with friends and family, I just wanted to go back to work. So how crazy is that? As we talk to people, the number one complaint would always be from people that I talk with, home workers. What is it? It's the lack of interaction with peers. There's nobody hanging out at home. It's a really boring place to work most of the time for me. I did some real great heads down work and thinking, but after a week or so of that, I wanted to get out and be with people because I knew what my community brought to me. 90% of the people that we talk to and we survey, and I'm going to show you a global co-working survey, say that isolation is 90% of the problem at home. How many of you have ever felt at home a little lonely or isolated working from home? The rest of you who didn't raise your hand were really not being honest, I have a feeling. So I'm just put up some home challenges. You know what, all of these things. Home's a great place to work, but there are obstacles. I want you to also realize that Starbucks or any coffee shop, that's not your office. I hear people say it all the time. I went to Starbucks and then I couldn't get a wireless connection. And I said, well, why would you think that they would have to have a guaranteed wireless connection for you? It's a coffee shop. You know, I went in and then there were 3 of us and we couldn't get a table. You know, it sounds like you weren't making a great impression on your clients if you went in and you couldn't get a table. So how are you going to counterbalance some of those types of things? Of course, you know, Office Centers and Virtual Office Centers has 5 great co-working spaces, and it's not just because of those reasons, but I want to share with you about community. Because it's not about 4 walls in a space. It really is not. Because you can go anywhere and find 4 walls in a space. How are you going to find the best group of people that will help you get your work done? Your neighbors, your friends, and other people who are like-minded like you, who are trying to work on projects and do things together. This is a survey taken by GCUC, which is the Global Co-working Unified Collaboration, and they just had their conference in Berkeley about a month ago. They surveyed over 3,000 co-workers. 85% say they're more motivated when they get out of their house. 88% say that you have better interaction with others. Well, that would be a given because there's not a lot of people hanging out in my kitchen, as I said before. 60% say they're more organized and relaxed, and more relaxed when they're at home because they've gotten more done when they've been in the co-working spaces. And 73%, this is huge, see an increase in their bottom line. When I talk to people who are in my co-working spaces and I say, what do you like? We love the fact that we have people, we can bounce off ideas, we've gotten business from others when we're in. I'm going to tell you that if you're at home and you're working, you're probably not going to run into somebody who's going to be asking you, can you help me with this? Can you do a project? Or I know somebody who could use your services. You need to get out and get amongst people. It's going to help your business. Work individually, but collaboratively. And that isolation problem, 90% isolation problem that we talk to with people is solved by going to co-working. This is my new philosophy. As of February, a clean bill of health. Life is short. I want to work someplace awesome. I want to work with awesome people. I don't want to have a drudge. I don't want to be by myself at my coffee machine. That's my goals. But there are a lot of people who feel that same way. We have a lot of things that we can help with, and a lot of other companies. It's not just me. There are more and more companies who have co-working. They have addresses and image where you can buy mailbox plans. You can have private meeting space, mail and package, phone answering if you want it. If you don't, you can create a package that works for your business. You know, if you want to sell stuff, these people know people who have money to spend on their businesses. We got the Gen Xers. 80% of the new businesses since 2001 have been in the 30 to 45 range. And then we have the millennials, the next generation, and they're coming in. We've got a guy who's doing a big presentation at our next Lunch and Learn, 23 years old, just started his own company as a house of fire. If you go into any one of our co-working spaces at any given day, you see a great big mix of people, everyone talking together, because this is what I really believe. No one is as smart as all of us together. Every day we can learn from one another. Not just the people at the top of the chart teaching the people who are the younger generation. We have a lot to learn from the people who are coming in and teaching a lot of us veterans and baby boomers about everything and anything that has to do with today's market. But if you don't get interaction to all different kinds of people, at all different kinds of business levels, you're losing out. You're keeping them a closed mind in a closed market. You just need to open yourself up to going to some great networking like Pat has at New Biz and look at the meetups. Get out of your house. You're going to be better for it. Right now we're at over 1,200 members and growing strong. You can see that's one of our fun centers and a party that we had. The future is bright. This is just stats from my own company I like to show you sometimes. Last year at Office Centers and Virtual Office Centers, we brought in 138 new client businesses, people who'd never done business with us before. We had 22 of our clients expand. That was a 38% increase over the year before. Over the year before, we had that same type of an increase, but I see how many new clients we're bringing in and how many expanses tells me that this is going to be a really great market that we're in. It's a great time to start a business. Out of all the clients that we had, almost 800 and some business and 1,200 members, because those are business clients that we said, and there's more, some of our businesses have more than one person. We only had 12 businesses that failed, not took a job with someone else or went to something. I'm talking about pure business failures. When you look at how many businesses are failing, we breed successful businesses. And success is contagious. When you want to run a successful business, hang out with other successful people. Studies show that the 48 hours after a seminar like this are critical to your business. Because this is when everything is fresh in your mind, whether it's anything to do with branding, whether it's anything I said, or anything Dave will say after me. Take time now. Make decisions, put it on paper, and don't waste this wave, because you got everything's percolating right now inside, right? It's a great time to make a decision, and don't waste time. Your dreams are calling you. I talk about this all the time. I said, you know what, everything has been a dream come true to me over this is the best time in my career in 34 years. We are working with businesses. It's the most exciting. My sister, who works for me and has for the last 7 years, she said, Lori, this is not Disneyland. And I said, you know what, to you it's not. But we are making people's dreams come true, and I love what I do every day. So I say, don't just dream about what you want to do, because I'm going to tell you one thing I've noticed about successful people as I've worked with them over the last 34 years. You can dream it, or you can get up and you can go to work. Because successful people, small businesses that grow and sustain, everyone works hard. We don't just dream, we work and we do. And I thank you so much for your time.